Hey everybody, this is Dr. Jesse Jackson III, best-selling author and facilitator of the Don't Kick 'Em Out book and training series, and we're continuing to talk about what is the destructive nature of toxic staff members and what impact that actually has on student behavior. A toxic workplace or school place feeds negative behavior. This we know. This is not what we think. Now, a lot of times people are delusional and say, well, it's no big deal. You know, we're okay. And what you find out is when you break down the staff, you see that people actually operate in cliques. So they're not really acquainted. They operate in cliques, the people they like. And so when the adult behavior is dysfunctional, we have seen that this has a very negative impact on student growth, student development. An impoverished student, a student who comes from poverty, can't afford to go to school at a toxic environment, can't have a toxic dynamic in the building. Principal doesn't get along with the teacher. Teachers don't like the principal. Teachers don't like each other. Teachers fighting with the parents. The secretaries, I got one school situation where the secretaries created a very horrible dynamic between the front office and the teaching staff. That type of, but then they wondered why the kids at that school were off the chain, fighting all the time, fights between every period. I've never seen anything like that in my life, but they wondered why. You don't have to wonder why when you look at what's going on with the adults. And we've always laid out what those behaviors are that are really creating those destructive behaviors in an organization. The gossip, the listening to it, impeding new coworker growth. It's your job, you feel, to be negative and to tell people what's wrong with the organization and sour new people. Attacking the customer, the students, functional depression, your own personal problems, selfishness. You can't work with people. You're negative. You want to talk about your boss and coworkers. You don't work. Your production's low. You don't come to work. You're late and don't come to work, and then you're not a team player. These are destructive behaviors. Now, here's the question I want to leave with you, and I want to guide you in what we need to be doing with these things. Professional adults in a professional organization have to take the time to begin to address our behavior. That happens with discussion. That happens with accountability. We are not going to be able to have the academic growth and production we need with the adults continuously fighting and disconnected. We have found when we talk about what really gives the organization an advantage is when the children like their teacher. Well, what really gives an organization a competitive advantage is when that environment has adults that are socially and can engage with one another, like to be around each other and create a positive environment. I always ask you to ponder, you know, are you an easily frustrated person? You're patient with the kids? Do you have a tolerance for certain things? But the question here, I think this is the biggest one, if you look at the last one, is the adult behavior in your building a positive influence on your students? So if our students were just like us and they related just as we do as a staff, would that improve our climate and culture? If your answer is not yes, then that means the staff needs to sit down. We need training in these areas. We need to work on these details. But if that answer is not yes, we need to stop what we're doing. We find that when we talk a lot about social and emotional learning, we have to have a social and emotional learning program for the adults. And this is what I put my whole program around, is that understanding that people need growth and development, personal development. You know, true professional development starts with personal development. We're putting a lot of time into data and to the policies and procedures, which we should do, but we have to also match that time with personal development. Our employees have to become better people. And if they can't become better people, you're going to see we're going to have an ongoing, continuous struggle in these areas. So the appropriate thing to do is when you highlight and can identify negative patterns within your staff, these behaviors, it is very important that you engage in a training process where you can identify where these things come from, show people how they don't work, and what will be the impact and consequence on our organization. I'm about performance. And one thing with performance is folks have to have an increased level of understanding to get better results. That's what this is all about. As always, Share these videos with your folks. And if you know you need help in these areas, stop waiting. People, stop waiting. Don't hesitate. Call, reach out, ask questions, see what can happen, and let's go. Listen, if you know I can help you, call. Don't wait and play around. Don't let your organization go totally left. Don't let it go totally to the south. Reach out, ask some questions, see can something happen. Our schedule's full for a reason, but we've made every attempt to serve as many schools as we can, help people with their process. And listen, I'm only looking for hungry organizations that are thirsty to cure many of these ills and take the next step academically and be of great service to their student population. I'm Dr. Jackson. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next class.